You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
Those were just some of President-elect Trump's comments about Canada last week. And as we've been talking about, his calls for Canada to join the U.S. got louder. That forced communities along the shared border to respond and reach out to their American counterparts. Mike Bradley is the mayor of Sarnia, Ontario. Mayor Bradley, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on.
When you heard President-elect Trump call the border a, quote, artificial line, besides the literal river that's separating the border where you are, what do you make of that comment? How did that go over with you?
Well, it's the vexatious dribble we've been hearing now since the election. I respect the judgment of the American people, but I will say on a day-to-day basis, there's always governments come and go and there's conflicts. It has become very frustrating. And I'm starting to hear the impacts in border cities more. People saying, I'm not going to Florida this year. I'm not doing the day trip. And there's a genuine anger building at the populist people side of things that say, I don't need to be abused. We're your best neighbor, your biggest ally. So why are you doing this to us? Now, we understand the dynamics with this particular president. I've been in that movie before for 4 years. But this time it's different. Mm-hmm. He is emboldened. He has his followers are all in positions of power. You didn't have that balance we had the last time we had Congress and the Senate, and we had some reasonable other people pushing back in the White House. That's not there right now, and that is what is frightening.
So what do you think it's about when he makes these comments, whether it be the pretend border, the 51st state, what have you? What do you think is going on there, Mayor?
It's mind games, and it's working. You've got all sorts of different political people in Canada trying to interpretate what he's saying, and it is not helping. And there's just a report out in the last 24 hours showing that Sarnia and Windsor in Ontario will take the biggest hit on the tariffs because we're an energy hub, agriculture, and auto. And that is scary because we've seen before, I do expect that tariff notice to come down. Yes, there will be collateral damage in the United States, but I don't think he cares because he'll just say, well, that wasn't because of this. It was because of that. It wasn't because of what I did, which is the pattern, right?
Yeah. So the Prime Minister is meeting with premiers this week. They have this retaliatory tariff list that drawn up that they're ready to use if needed. What is your biggest fear here, and what are you hoping, the Ottawa or others might be able to do to protect you?
Well, this is self-serving, but the premiers and the Prime Minister should be talking to border city mayors. We're on the front line. I'm looking at Port Huron, Michigan this morning. Talk to us. We understand the complexity of the relationship. And, the American Canadian people have always got along, even though I see that deteriorate. I'm concerned on just a local basis. We are the endpoint for Line 5. And that's been a debate for the last 3 or 4 years. And everyone says, Trump's pipeline friendly. He's pipeline friendly for American pipelines. And he could cut that pipeline off to us tomorrow, which would cost thousands of jobs, not just in Sarnia, but in Ontario and Quebec and in the United States. It is really, if you take the old attitude of trying to understand someone and what they're doing politically, it doesn't apply anymore. Yeah. So I think we start to need, and the premiers and the Prime Minister, and it's really unfortunate. I did a call the other day with a group of American Great Lakes mayors and Canadian ones, and we were basically told in a polite way to shut up. They will not listen to you. But we need to get our game better, and we need to stop the politics, the partisan politics on this, and focus on what's best for Canadians. And that, to me, is what I'm watching right now. What is happening in Ottawa, for all different reasons, is creating a lot of uncertainty for us trying to strategize how to deal with the Americans.
So what do you think is the solution then? I mentioned the tariffs. Is there something else? The Premier of Ontario has mused about cutting off electricity. I mean, there are some pretty extreme paths we could go down. But if for sure Ottawa now believes, as I think you do as well, that the tariffs are going to be put in place.
Yes. Well, no one wins in a tariff war.
No.
We may come up with our list and we do that, and then they come back and do this, and then we do that. In the end, the damage will be on both economies. And that, to me, is really scary. What I think we need to do now as we head into this new year is to look at how to mobilize Canadians. All those Canadians that go to Florida, all those people that go to Arizona, the ones that do the day trips. And I hope this Canada Day is our 150th anniversary as a country. This is the time we engage the public and we bring 40 million Canadians into this battle. And we move forward, and we stand up for Canada and make it very clear to the American public, why are you fighting with your biggest ally?
Yeah. My last question, Mayor, is it affecting people in Sarnia, just in terms of how they're living their day-to-day lives? Not the tariffs, but more, I guess, from a relationship perspective, and how, this may potentially damage the relationship.
It's deteriorating.
Yeah.
And people are saying they're not going to cross the border. They're not going to go to all those other things they do in the United States, because we are close. It's like Ottawa and Hull, just like this.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing it on a constant basis. We don't want to do that anymore because we're being disrespected.
Okay, Mayor Bradley, maybe we'll check in with you again, but I appreciate your perspective this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.